Hey, thank you for listening to the Vegan Ambition podcast. I'm here to let you know that you can visit us on our website at theveganambition.com or on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. We post new content every single day. And now, time for the podcast. Hey, I'm Ruji, and today we're joined with Sarah, and I'm Ruji. Welcome to the Vegan Ambition podcast number 19. Today's main question is convincing X or N or 1 persons to become half vegan more effective and more important than convincing half as many to become full vegan? Or probably even less, because realistically it's hard to convince people to be vegan sometimes. But before we start, I'd like to thank today's sponsors, and today I'd like to thank Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, Tapioca Flour, and of course, Brown Rice. This podcast is a tool to help vegans, vegetarians, and anyone else who is interested in a plant-based lifestyle. The Vegan Ambition is a no-pressure zone and a no-hostility zone. We don't pressure our guests, but are simply here to discuss different viewpoints. I hope you'll join us on this journey, and education is our biggest goal here. And this is Sarah. Sarah's a non-vegan who used to be vegetarian, and, as I understand it, is about to go vegetarian again.
Yeah, in like a week now. I just want to have one last Thanksgiving.
Right. One last, regular, family Thanksgiving that you connect with.
Yeah, like a send-off turkey dinner.
A send-off turkey dinner. Perfect. Can you tell me a bit more about your diet and why you went vegetarian the first time and why you went non-vegetarian the second back?
So my diet, starting first. Right now, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't cook meat at home. Whenever I eat at home, I don't make myself meat. Right. Partly because I think it's better for you, clearly better for the environment. But also, I'm so afraid of giving myself salmonella, which has been, people have told me that it's a dumb fear, including a friend of mine who has had salmonella.
I'm okay with this fear.
You're like, this is fine. This works out well. Well, that's what everyone told me. That's it's not that hard. You can just do it. I'm like, but I'm okay not doing it also.
Fair. So when was the last time, because you live alone right now.
I do.
Have you cooked meat of any kind in the last month that you've been here?
I've made meat? I haven't made meat in all of the years I've lived alone.
Really?
I've maybe made chicken once.
So what do you eat then?
Right now my go-to meal is I thought I made it up, but then my mom told me it's just a stir fry. So I fry zucchini, mushrooms, lots of onions, love onions, and just other assorted vegetables. And then I make some rice noodles, put a bunch of soy sauce, sesame oil under your recommendation, and hot pepper flakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're afraid of getting salmonella. That's totally, I'm okay with that fear.
Don't trust myself.
I understand. It's hard to trust yourself sometimes. I get it.
Yeah.
And so why did you go vegetarian the first time?
So I was 7.
Okay.
I was real young.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at Thanksgiving. So this also feels like tradition. It was Thanksgiving dinner, and I don't remember it very well, but I was young. I had 2 cousins who were older and female and very cool. And I was like,
right.
I just want to be like Char and Michelle. And
Char and Michelle.
Her name's Charlene and Michelle. They're my 2 cool cousins. Shout out to my cool cousins.
Shout out.
And I turned to my mom and I was like, I'm a vegetarian now. Just full stop. I'm not eating this turkey dinner we just ordered at a restaurant.
You did it at Thanksgiving?
I did it at Thanksgiving. I'm no, I'm going to go to the buffet.
You should do it just for the joke.
Old time's sake. Turn to my mom and be like, I'm refusing to eat this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I look back on it and even when I talk to my family now, I'm pretty sure I did it to be like my cousins. These
right.
2 women I super admired.
That's fair.
But my sister was talking to me and she's like, no, we would ask you why you did it, and you would start crying and say you didn't want to eat anything you could be friends with.
I mean, that's a thing that kids have all the time. I've heard a lot of stories where someone is really young, that age, and they start to realize that they can be friends with this animal, and they start to realize that this animal is being food, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's totally a thing.
I think it was the exact moment I gained empathy. I was like, oh no.
I've actually been at family dinners, and there's been a 10-year-old there, and I've avoided telling them why I'm vegan. And like this girl was like asking me, and I'm like, I avoided it because I didn't want her parents to be mad at me.
Yeah.
Because kids are really easy to not motivate, but like influence.
Yeah.
So I was like, she's gonna want to like she might not go vegan, but she might be like, oh gosh,
you might stir up some like uncomfy and hard questions. Because that's the other thing I feel so bad is like I didn't ease into it. Like we got home from dinner and my mom was like, I have 3 chaotic children already and now one of them is refusing to eat meat. And that was back like, it was like what, 2007? Like I feel like now it might be.
No, it would have been even earlier.
Sorry,
2004.
You're right. Math is hard. It was 2004 and I don't think being vegetarian was so like a thing people even were thinking of.
Well, even the internet wasn't as accessible as it is today. So even like finding vegetarian restaurants or recipes and stuff.
For sure.
It's like a huge thing.
Yeah. So I think if I'm going to do it again, I need to be more careful. Because like my mom did an amazing job. She just didn't know. So like I was telling you, like there's very specific foods in my life that are like, oh, this is a thing I ate as a vegetarian to try and like, my mom was like attempting to have a like may help me have protein and like get all the vitamins I needed without knowing. Have you ever had those like tofu and they're like in water and they're fruit flavored? Like the very specifically flavored. Like a peach one, like a watery peach tofu.
Like tofu dessert?
Maybe.
I've actually I don't know if I've had tofu. I have had tofu dessert. I don't know if I've had a peach flavored one. They sell them at Sarah's here.
I should go check that out.
They have like a tofu dessert, and I had a tofu dessert in Hong Kong, which I've never seen before and never heard of. It's soft tofu, so they like make the tofu there, and then they put like basically sugar water in it, and it's like hot sugar water with tofu, and it's so interesting.
Okay.
It's not bad, but it's interesting.
The one I had was very bad. And then I remember my brother's girlfriend is a vegetarian. I remember telling her about this, and she's like, you're supposed to put those in smoothies. Like, those are, like, meant for other things. But my mom would just send me with these plastic containers and, like, a spoon. Like,
I did have a roommate once. I remember I went to the store with him, and I was probably, like, pescatarian or vegetarian at the time or whatever. And I was looking at the tofu desserts, and he was like, what's this? And I was like, I don't know, it's tofu dessert. I'm not gonna try it. It sounds really gross. He's like, oh, I'll try it. And he loved it.
Really?
Yeah, he like ate all of it, and I was like, what the heck? It was
maybe I have to pick up a tofu dessert.
Yeah, I'll pick one up for you next time I'm in Sarah's too.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So you went vegetarian when you were 7 because 1, you wanted to be like your cousins, and 2, because you didn't want to eat things that you could be friends with.
Yes.
When did you stop? Why did you stop? What happened?
I think when I was about 10 or 11, I don't know, it was so long ago, but I do know I started eating fish and occasionally chicken for a little bit. I don't know why, whether that was like to just kind of make it easier, kind of dietary wise. I think there just wasn't a lot of options. And then I do remember very specifically my breaking moment. Well, I don't think I had eaten chicken at that point, because my breaking moment was my brother went to KFC and he came home with popcorn chicken, and I was like, give it to me. Like it broke me.
And you were just like, I need to, I'm done. I miss
yeah,
this.
Yeah. But it was a really long time ago. And I think because I didn't, like, I had strong reasons behind it, but it wasn't, like, I was young. A lot of it was influence. I was 12. I was, like, learning to be myself, that I don't think the reasons I did it were strong enough to kind of hold out from then. And it was always such a pain. Being a vegetarian kid was rough, because you, like, go to any sleepover and you're like, I brought my own veggie dogs because I don't want you to have to think about making your meal special for me.
I do that all the time.
Right.
I like bring my own pizza to parties sometimes. I'll bring my own food to parties sometimes. I like it though, because 1, if I'm going to a party, and like at our age, we like to party. If I'm going to a party, it's good to know that I'll have food at the end of the night.
That's
I have
true.
it prepared. I have it ready. It's good.
No one's going to steal it.
No one's going to eat it. Most of the time, no one's going to steal it. Although I have brought vegan pizza to parties, and people have had it. They're just drunk. They're like, I don't know. I'll eat it.
Yeah,
I'll eat it
they're
anyway.
like-
It's pizza.
Yeah.
And but I remember one time I even brought ramen to a party. I had it like before the party or something, so I could get some like carbs in me.
Right.
And yeah, it was great. It's awesome. I bring food all the time to parties.
That's smart. I do remember being as a kid, like I just really wanted to fit in, and this was like one of the things where
Which
I'm like,
is fair.
I showed up with this weird wet bag of fake hot dogs.
I mean, even now it's kind of hard, like for kids, because you go to a birthday party, and I mean, even when I go to birthday parties, there's never cake that I can eat,
Yeah.
and like that's a hard one. Like if you're vegan, like there's never
Right.
cake.
I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Yeah. So as a kid, I can imagine it being hard, and you know, when I try to convince my niece, or not my niece, when I try to convince my sister to take my niece and nephew vegan, there's so much to being a kid that is hard to go about, that you almost like, as a vegan, you almost have to like completely change how kids are raised in a way. Like when I raise my kids vegan, which I will, I mean, they're going to have to go to probably a vegan daycare. They're probably going to have a lot of vegan friends, because school's kind of hard when you're vegan.
Well, yeah, as a child, I had no willpower. I used to like eat powdered sugar. Like, I don't know if somebody was like, you can't have a piece of this cake, if I would be able to handle that, if I would be able to follow through.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. So you said, so the thing that turned you back basically was the chicken nuggets or whatever at
Yeah.
Burger King.
I remember that being a breaking moment, but it definitely was like a slow decline into.
Right, which happens. One thing to note for the next time that you go vegetarian, I don't know if I've told you this before, but there are these amazing chicken nuggets made by Yves, and they're vegan. And
They're vegan.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I meant fake chicken nuggets.
No. So, like, in the list of food that I used to eat, I don't remember what brand it was, but there was somebody who did chicken nuggets that I was like, that's the brand I like. That's the one I eat. These are the best fake chicken nuggets I've ever had.
These Yves ones, you can buy them at Walmart even. They're the best fake chicken nuggets by far.
I wonder if I've ever had them.
They're like, one, they're cheap. I think it's like 20 nuggets for like $4 or something. So that's like pretty good. If you buy like fake meat, that's pretty good.
Right.
Fake meat's really expensive.
Uh-huh.
And
real meat's not cheap either.
It's true.
It's part of the reason
It's
I don't
true.
eat meat. I'm like, that's a lot.
I know. People always ask me, they're like, isn't it more expensive? I'm like, have you seen the price of tofu? Tofu is dirt. Like, it costs nothing.
Is tofu good for you? I feel like I've heard controversial things.
Tofu's totally fine for you.
Okay.
So the thing that you've probably heard is that there is estrogen in it, and it's bad hormonally. That is wrong. The thing that is in tofu is called phytoestrogen.
Okay.
Phytoestrogen comes from plants, and it's a completely different form of estrogen. Not to mention the fact that people who have that concern, if they drink milk, you're drinking estrogen all day long. You're drinking hormones all day long, because that's what milk is like made of, right? Like it's like used for growing.
Yeah.
So for people who are concerned that tofu like has estrogen in it, the estrogen is not the same. It does not act the same. It is not dangerous at all. The only consideration that some people make, and I don't really agree with this personally, but people don't like GMO foods, and there is a lot of soy that's GMO'd, but
Right. It's the soy issue that I've heard a lot about.
well, tofu is soy.
Yeah.
So, but most tofu that you find at like Zares or like at Sobeys or whatever, they might have like a regular version, and then they'll always have a GMO free version.
Oh, wild. Okay.
So, and that's like literally every store has a GMO free version. It's like the organic GMO free, and you're fine. So if you're worried about GMOs, okay, fine, just get the non-GMO version. But soy and tofu, not bad for you.
Cool. Good to know.
Totally not bad.
I really like tofu.
Yeah, tofu's amazing. I love tofu. Sorry.
No, like whenever I go to Freshie and they're like, choose your protein, like every time I go, it's always tofu. They put some sort of sweet glaze on it, and it's bomb in a rice bowl.
It's Freshie, yeah. Tofu is phenomenal. They don't even cook it that well at Freshie. I have tofu in my Thai food right here, and it's like fried, and it's super yummy. So And the thing with tofu, which is really nice, is one, it's really cheap. Like a brick of tofu, which is equivalent to like about probably equivalent to like 2 chicken breasts. A brick of tofu costs $2, $3, maybe.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So, and it's better for you always, basically, in terms of like your health and the animals and the environment and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a good way to get protein. Do you get blood work done every year?
I did for a while. I haven't got blood work done in a little bit, but I remember getting it done when I went vegan, and I was fine.
Right.
So I haven't really had the need to do it yet, and I feel fine. So like, I remember at one point I went pescatarian, and I was really tired all the time, and I was like, it was not good. And I found out my iron was really low, but I was pescatarian, so it's kind of like weird that my iron was low.
Right.
So I just like went on iron pills for like 3 months, and then I was fine.
Sweet.
And I haven't had a problem since. Last time I did blood work, I was like fine in every single category, if not like above average in every single category. So I feel good, and I do take like supplements once in a while.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah, I do remember that being a thing I was supposed to do, and then I never did.
Yeah, the thing is, so like it's possible to do a non-supplemental diet.
Oh no, I meant like blood work.
Oh, blood work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, blood work is definitely. It's definitely good to do blood work like at like 3 months into veganism or vegetarian, just to make sure that your iron is like at the right level. Make sure your B12 is at the right level, because it is a little bit more difficult. Now it depends what you eat, right? Like if you will be eating a lot of pre-processed foods like veggie nuggets, vegan hot dogs and stuff like that, that will have everything in it already. They add everything in it the same the same higher levels usually than what you would have in like a meat equivalent product.
Oh, that's interesting. That's smart.
Yeah, so like when I buy, I had to breathe today. Whew, I don't know why. So much I've been talking.
Just so excited.
I know. I love talking about food, as everyone knows. But yeah, like when you read those packages, they'll have B12 added to them. They'll have iron added to them usually. And all it's trying to do is replicate what is added to meat, because, I mean, B12 isn't naturally occurring in meat either.
Okay.
It's added to it, usually like inserted or like fed to the animals.
Cool.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, I did. It's just gross to think about.
It's the reality of it. And also, I mean, the people who are scared of like soy or GMO soy and they eat meat, I mean, every single cow eats soy, basically. Unless you are literally only having grass-fed cows, but even then you basically can't have grass-fed cows in Canada because it's winter in Canada for half the year.
The grass that just disappears.
Yeah. So, you have to feed them something else. And most cows are fed corn and soy and wheat throughout the year. All that soy. There's no way it's not GMO'd. There's like no way. That just is like there's so you have to grow so much of it. It's like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you went vegetarian, then non-vegetarian. Why are you going vegetarian now? Or thinking about, at least planning on it.
Well, yeah, the plan is in like, it's less than a week now.
Yeah, a couple days.
Yeah. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I was definitely considering it this time last year. Just for all like the health and environmental reasons are so obvious. It's just such a daunting thing when you're kind of thinking about it. Even though I've done it before and I remember it not being a big deal, but just like I don't know. It's like one of those things that's like really scary until you do it, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, so what's your like? We have to move on to the next topic soon. But what's your motivation or reason for going vegetarian overnight this time versus doing like a slow progression? And I know you eat vegetarian at home basically all the time anyway, but
yeah,
or like here.
I guess it's because it's what I did last time. That's like just like
that's just kind of like you.
I didn't even consider really another way because
I mean,
I would say I would already don't eat that much meat.
No, you don't. You don't.
But
Just because you did it last time. That's fair.
what's that?
That just because you did it last time.
Yeah, I just remember like that worked the last time that I didn't even think about like easing in.
Right. Okay. Farmhouse Garden Animal Home's mission is to provide a safe home for the animals in their care. They want to show others that farm animals deserve love and compassion. Each of their animals is a unique individual, and by learning and interacting with them, Farmhouse hopes to teach others to love them as well. Farmhouse Garden Animal Home subsides entirely on donations, and they are a non-profit. If I didn't make it clear, they're a sanctuary, an animal sanctuary, with 30 cows, 2 horses, 1 duck, and a couple other, I think 5 chickens or something, maybe 2 ducks. I think they have 2 ducks now. There's too many animals. I get lost. Please consider donating to them or visiting them in their beautiful location in Uxbridge. You can find them on the web, on Facebook, Instagram, or by visiting farmhousegardenanimalhome.com. Thank you, Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, for sponsoring today's podcast. They're a really great sanctuary. They're my favorite sanctuary.
Have you been?
Oh, man, so many times. Well, those T-shirts I designed.
That was for them.
Yeah,
oh, lovely.
and I volunteered for them at the Toronto Veg Fest.
Right.
Sold a bunch of merch that day. Made a ton of money for them, which was great.
Hey.
Got to help feed the cows. And yeah, I've been there a bunch of times. One of my best friends, one of my good friends who's vegan runs it. So I know them very well. They're actually the only sanctuary I've ever been to. I haven't been to another one.
And they're your favorite.
They are. I mean, I have a really good connection with them, and I have a connection with one of the cows there. She was one of the reasons I went vegan. So.
The cow?
Yeah.
Aw.
So her name is Baby. I think I've told the story on the podcast, but her name is Baby, and I was visiting the farm. I remember. You should remember this. I did a video project.
Yes, I do.
Meat.
Yes, I remember this.
And I visited the farm, and it was, I think, in October or something that I visited, and it was the first time I had ever seen a cow interact like a dog. She like ran up to me. She like looked at my camera. She wanted an apple from the tree that the farmer got, and it was like astounding to me. It broke my heart. I was like, what? This is really happening. And then a couple months later, I went vegan.
Was this what inspired you to go pescatarian first?
No, I went pescatarian for my health originally.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was living on campus, and I was eating Burger King a lot. And I gained a little bit of weight, and I was like a little like grossed out myself. And I think one day I was watching a video, or I watched Cowspiracy or something, and I was like, I am done eating this crap and hurting my body.
Yeah.
I was like, this is gross. So I stopped eating. I stopped drinking pop at the same time, and I stopped eating at like fast food places as much.
Okay, that's smart.
Yeah, because back then I used to eat literally fast food. I don't know, probably like every 2 days, if not even more.
It's a lot.
Yeah. and like gross. Like I would go to Burger King and I would get like their chicken sandwiches that are like the $5 for 2 chicken sandwiches and fries and a pop, and it was like disgusting. And I remember like going there late at night and being like, this is gross. And like,
yeah, when you were talking about Burger King, I was like, oh, they have the 10 nuggets for $2 deal. Rest in peace.
That's gross.
It's a lot.
That's like how do you even make Burger King? All right.
Not a sponsor of the podcast.
Definitely not. Although they do, I learned recently they have one vegan option, which is fried French toast sticks.
I don't want. Actually, no. That sounds really great.
Yeah,
I had to go 180 there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get them for a while, but I want to get them like one time. They sound really good.
Are they vegan though? Because French toast typically has egg on it.
No, apparently they're vegan. I looked at their nutritional info and their allergen info. Yeah, and fries are probably vegan, depending on your view, of course, because some people don't agree with cross contamination.
Right. Yeah.
That depends on the person, but
fair enough.
All right, I'd like to get on today's question. which is convincing X or N, whatever you prefer, or one persons to become half vegan more effective or more important than convincing half as many, and more likely a third or maybe even less as many to become fully vegan? What do you think, Sarah?
So, like, this brings me back to a quote I heard from David Suzuki so long ago.
Okay.
That was talking about if everyone in the world was vegetarian or vegan, I don't remember which one, for one day a week, about like how much better the planet would be off.
Totally.
And that in itself would make such a difference. And I think that quote is what stuck with me through my years of not being vegetarian, because I was like, I did 5 years of being vegetarian. I can spread those 5 years worth of days to a lot of weeks in my life. I remember that being like a way I could justify it to myself.
Okay, I mean, sure.
Listen,
I'm not gonna shame you.
It's there's logic, kind of, but
no, I mean there is logic. There is something to say that like you helped out the environment, you helped out the world by doing that,
right?
For those 5 years, and that's better than doing nothing ever. I don't know if I would use it as a logic to not eat meat, or to eat meat rather, but whatever.
It's in the past.
Yeah, it's done. It's all good now.
But I feel like that's way less daunting. Like I don't know loads about the issues that are around these days. Like I haven't done a bunch of research in the last couple of years, but I think it's way less daunting to convince people to be half vegan or to do those meatless Mondays. Like, and I the planet is not doing well. It's not good.
No,
and
it's not. I'm reading a book right now on extinction.
Right.
And it is so scary because it's talking about how like there's so many different things. Like our oceans are getting more acidic because we're releasing so much carbon dioxide. Once the oceans get more acidic, you're going to kill off like a lot of animals.
Right.
And plants as well, and coral and all that kind of stuff. Not to mention the fact that the ocean levels are going to rise. Not to mention a lot of other stuff. Not to mention how much more acidic it's going to get. Not to mention how hard it is to take that back and fix that. It's scary, man. The world is hurting. It is hurting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes. So on an environmental level, I'm like, it would be way better if everyone could adopt this lifestyle, or if we could like completely 180 the way we're living this life. On a psychological basis, at least I think there's a bunch of people out there who are like me, who are interested in going vegetarian or half vegan, or, you know, eliminating meat a little more out of our diets, but are just like nervous to go all the way, because I don't think I could be a full vegan. Like I just don't know and think I have the skills.
Why?
Because I don't know how to cook, or I don't really know what needs to go in my body, and I'm afraid if I become a vegan, all I would eat would be like carbs, because I'm like bread.
But okay, so I have two questions.
Right.
Well, before we get on to like the main thing, but just for you, I have two questions. So one, I mean, learning how to cook is really easy. I know it seems like a daunting task and it seems like a lot, but like there's so many resources out there. There's so many YouTubers out there who make amazing vegan food. I've learned so much from them already, and I've always been like a pretty decent cook. I've learned, one, you need to season your food every single time you add an ingredient to it, which was surprising to me. I was like, what? And the guy was like, yeah, put salt and pepper on basically every time, because it gets lost otherwise. Especially if you're adding like a lot of food to it. Like if you're making a stir fry, for example. And just like there's a lot. And then my second question is, right now you're in university, so I understand that there's like a reservation to say like, I don't know what would happen. Like, would I just eat crap all the time?
Yeah, because there's a lot going on.
But I mean, you're about to graduate.
I am.
And when, generally speaking, I mean, the goal is that we're going to find like we're both about to graduate. We're going to find like jobs that are like stable. So like when you have a stable environment, wouldn't it be easy to learn all that stuff? And wouldn't it be like progress. I also think like saying like you're gonna go vegan on this Thanksgiving is probably too much. Like I wouldn't do that. But I would
Right.
say like if you're gonna go vegetarian, take the next year, 2 years, or 3 years, however long you need, and like slowly learn about it. I'm sure you can go vegan. I'm sure you're gonna want it at some point.
I would consider it, and I would consider it more strongly when I graduate. The problem is right now I have no idea what my life is going to look like when I graduate.
Right, which is totally fair.
So I like can't even speak to like in a year what place I would be in and if that's something feasible. I just know like right now there's just so much. My life is so chaotic that I think I'll just be vegetarian for a little while.
And that's totally fair.
Yeah.
You do you. You know, no shame, no guilt. It's all good. Speaking from my experience, I mean, it took me a while to go vegan, but once I did, I've been learning so much. I learn new stuff almost every day, which I like apply to what I make, and even then, I mean, some stuff like the thing that a lot of people miss out or forget when it comes to veganism is that you do the best to your ability.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything. There's a goal and a hope that eventually you'll do almost everything, but it's like this concept of a perfect vegan, it doesn't exist. And I used to say in my podcast call at the very beginning, I used to say, I'm not a perfect vegan, but I'm trying to become one. And I've removed that because I am a pretty good vegan. I do what I can. I don't do everything. I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can. I mean, a lot of vegans don't consider you a vegan unless you're an activist. But that's a little like I disagree with that. They say if you're not an activist, you're plant-based, and I'm like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I guess what would be your definition between the difference of plant-based and vegan?
Yeah, the definition for me between plant-based and vegan is pretty simple. If you are plant-based, you are plant-based for the environment or for yourself. If you're vegan, you're vegan for the environment usually, for yourself usually, and definitely for the animals.
Okay, so it's like the same diet, just a different mindset.
Yes.
Okay.
Not always the same though, because for example, honey, plant-based people, honey is not like honey is okay usually, or there's more of like a controversy. Like it's like some people say it's okay, some people say it's not okay. Another thing with plant-based diets is there are people that will eat plant-based all the time or most of the time, but like once in a while they like screw up, or it's also easier to like give up a plant-based diet. Like it's easier to say, well, I'm going on exchange or I'm going on a trip, I'm just not going to be plant-based this week.
Okay.
Because the effects of what you're doing are viewed differently in your brain, if that makes sense. So when I think about veganism, I think directly, I know that me consuming an animal causes direct harm to that animal. That's how I think about it.
Right.
When you're plant-based, you say, or I think this is what you would think is, well, I'm reducing the amount that I'm polluting the environment, but like doing it for one time is whatever.
Right.
And I mean, not every plant-based person's like that, of course, but I think it would be easier. It seems like it is easier. And there's more people that I know that were plant-based and like went like, like did like a one time, didn't eat, like ate meat one time, or like went on a trip and like ate meat and stuff like that.
Which you would never do, eh?
No.
Okay.
I can't. I go to the grocery store and I look at meat and I'm like, no, like that's not cool. And I go on trips and I like look at the food that's being cooked, on the street or like in a restaurant. I'm like, nope, gonna be vegan. I know directly that I don't want to hurt any animals.
Okay. So you're solely for the animals because...
I'm not solely for the animals.
Well, no, but like that's a primary concern of yours because controversial topic. What about like... And there's a specific word for it, I can't remember, but like ethical meat. Like communities up north. Unless that's a topic you don't even want to get into.
No, that's fine. We can get into it.
Okay.
Communities up north is different than ethical meat.
Okay.
Ethical meat, when I hear ethical meat, is meat that is raised well, right? Like I think this is what most people hear is raised well, like grass fed, is grown a bit longer, is killed in a better way. And I used air quotes there with my fingers. I know nobody saw it because it's a podcast, but I did because Sarah knows.
I saw it. Can confirm.
Yeah. And so that's what I see as ethical meat. And I'll explain it a bit more. I'm having trouble breathing today. I don't know why.
Do you want water or something?
No, I'm good. I think I just need to
Take some deep breaths. Do some yoga.
Yeah.
Meditation.
Let's just pause the podcast here. We'll do some yoga and meditation. We'll come back in 20 minutes. No, I'm kidding. And there's a difference between communities up north where it's a part of their culture.
Right.
And I actually had this on a podcast recently, which hasn't come out yet. It was the one with Shaka Smith. So ethical consumption in the form of like for me and for you, it doesn't exist in my view, because for me and for you, it's not a part of a culture in that way. Like we don't go out and hunt.
Right.
We also have access. Communities up north, I mean, their access, and we've learned a lot about this in our program recently, their access to food is very varied. It's very bad, usually. It's very expensive. So at times their only option is hunting.
Yeah, not even their only... but you're right. Like, it's so ingrained in the culture, and it's like a thing that was destroyed during colonization, and it's a part of the culture. And I know, I just watched a video recently where they talked about it, like the people calling the ban for seal hunting, and that really hurts these indigenous communities up north.
So the thing with that is that you have to draw a line between cultural appropriation or cultural like being careful about cultures and between speciesism. And I think from a vegan perspective, I think that's very hard to do. Like I think it's hard to say like, well, there are certain situations where meat can be used. My personal perspective is the goal is to work towards a world where meat is not necessary. Currently, I understand that there are limitations. I understand that, these communities, they suffer from extreme poverty usually. They suffer from difficulty in access. And there is some view and some understanding that I have that it's maybe okay. But I wouldn't do it. And I think for people who live in Toronto or people who live in big cities, people who have access, there is no such thing as ethical meat. There's no such thing like that. And there's a couple of reasons for that. So one, grass-fed meat, like I was kind of dabbling on earlier, there's no way it's grass-fed if it's Canadian or even North American mostly, because it snows for half the year. And meat, cows, although actually maybe it is possible because I don't know how long cows are raised for. I think it's actually like 90 days or something. Did you know that?
No, I think I'm a little confused because where I grew up, we were surrounded by like farming communities.
Right.
I know a lot of farmers and no cattle farmers and stuff. And I don't know if like owning and running your own corn and cattle farm is any different, but I would have said that they are much older than 90 days.
I don't think so. I think the average lifespan for a milk production cow is 4 years. 4 or 2 years. I think for chickens, I know it's 48 days. something like that. So it's very little. It's like a month and a half. For cattle, I think it ranges from like 180 days to a year.
But I guess I just don't understand the world enough. Is there a difference between factory farming and a farm in small town Ontario?
100%.
Yeah.
A small farm in Ontario, generally speaking, they'll be a lot more careful, like, and a lot more loving to their cows. Now that doesn't mean that it's perfect. So, I mean, factory farms. This is a huge like hole we're diving into, but I'm totally
we have
okay.
to go back. I have to ask you about your vegans.
I'm totally okay with diving into this.
Okay.
We'll get back to that question later. This podcast can keep going for a bit. No problem. So factory farms, what they do is that they raise their cattle in tiny enclosed spaces.
Right.
For I believe it's not a year. I think it's 120 days or so. It's very little. Like it's like ridiculously little. And a cow's lifespan is about 20 to 40 years, depending on the type of cow. So cows are raised for about like a 10th or 20th of their lifespan before they're killed.
Right.
So that's one concern with factory farms. The second concern is that these animals are still killed when they shouldn't be. So like this animal, I mean, it doesn't make sense to like raise this animal for food production because we're killing it before it needs to be killed. The same goes for chickens, same goes for pigs. All these animals, like they live a tiny portion of their life where we are making the choice to kill it for our food, for our taste buds, when that doesn't need to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Another concern is the conditions that a lot of people say, well, these cows are killed ethically, which to me is like a double entendre. It doesn't make sense. How can you kill something ethically if it's not in pain? If you're taking an animal that is perfectly healthy, perfectly happy, and shooting its head with a metal pin or slicing its neck, how is that ethical? And another concern, another problem is like kosher farms, right? There was a video I watched recently where it was a kosher farm, and I think in Ontario actually, that kills cows, and they broke all of the laws basically towards the actual animals, like the laws, the kosher laws,
right?
Like it has to be overseen by a certain person, it has to be killed in a certain way, it can't be like turned over, etc., etc. They like broke all of them, and I'm like, well, this doesn't make any sense.
You had one job.
Yeah. The other thing, so with little farms, they may be raised well, right? They may be raised on grass. They may be fed and loved for a little bit longer than like a factory farm. But for those farmers to make money, they have to kill them at the point that they don't cost more. So you only get X amount of money per cow. Let's say, as an example, it's $100 per cow. You feed them until you can get $100 per cow, and you don't feed them beyond that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The farmers usually don't kill them themselves. They usually have a company come, pick them up, and ship and get them, and they get killed somewhere else, and then sold off to who knows where. And that's where that sanctuary, farmhouse, that's what they used to do. 2.5 years ago, there was a cattle ranch. It was a cattle ranch for 3 generations. They were a cattle ranch primarily for money, because cows make a lot of money. They're expensive. Meat is expensive. And so for 3 generations, what they would do is they would raise animals. The breathing today. They would raise animals, care for them for a year or however long, depending on if they were like the mama or if they were like the bull. Like bulls usually live longer and stuff, and then ship them off to be killed. That was it. And then one day the farmer was feeding a baby cow who he had helped survive, who he had pulled from the mother. He had worked really hard on her, and he said, I don't want to kill this baby anymore. I can't do it anymore. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So they transformed it into a sanctuary.
Nice, good for them.
The last thing that I'll dab on really quickly, that I'll speak of, is the last two things, is impregnating cows. So like all of those factory farms, all of those farms in Ontario, or most of them, those cows, what they have is they have either a bull who lives on the farm, or they have a bull or a bunch of bulls, and they extract the sperm out of them, and then they impregnate the cows. This is done in dairy farms as well. So I mean, cows don't really produce milk. They have to be impregnated to produce more milk for their babies. That's where veal comes from, or lamb. No, veal. Yeah, veal comes from, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's veal. Veal comes from baby cows that are born from dairy cows and usually killed. In terms of just cows, there's a huge other world of chickens and pigs that we can get into, but like, I know a lot about cows. Question quickly, because we actually went very long there, which is fine. I don't mind at all. But you think it sounds, and David Suzuki, thinks that it's better to encourage people to eat less meat than push people to go vegan completely.
I think you're going to have better results with it, yes.
Okay.
I think that would be psychologically the way to have the most success. What do you think?
I think encouraging people to make a slow transition is the best way to do things. I would prefer if everyone was vegan, but I understand that psychologically and realistically it's probably not going to happen. So what I try to encourage with this podcast, when I talk to people in real life, is just to do it like slowly and just see how it goes, and do it like once a week, or go pescatarian, and then add a couple more days to it, or do like lunches. Like you say, always on every lunch during the week, it's going to be vegan. That's it. It'll be better for your health and better for the environment, and you'll learn about it. That's the thing with veganism that I think we're not at the point at. I think at some point it'll be fine to convince people to go vegan. I think right now the thing is that vegan has a huge learning curve.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And so it's hard to tell people go vegan now, go vegan tomorrow, which I'd never say. Don't do that. Don't
go cold
please.
turkey.
No, cold turkey is for the very few that can do it. Go vegan slowly. Learn about it, because it's a huge learning curve. And I know that. Everybody does that.
Yeah, if I went vegan tomorrow, I think I'd just eat Oreos all day, every day. That's it.
I mean,
and maybe Twizzlers.
I did that in Hong Kong and I survived.
Oh my god.
I ate so many Oreos and Pringles.
I love Pringles so much.
Oh, Pringles are great. I ate so much. And Mentos. I would literally buy those three because they were vegan and I knew they were vegan, and I would go and they were like in the store. They were in the like university cafe, and I like bought them, and I was like, well, okay.
Do you want to hear the cutest baby vegetarian Sarah story?
Yes.
I didn't like eat gelatin for a long time.
Okay.
That was one of the things I like started eating when I was easing back into it. And I bought some candy, and my brother, like, I think that was the first time he explained to me like what gelatin was, and he's like, you probably can't eat that. But we couldn't find the ingredients on it or something, and he called them. He called the company and was like, do you have gelatin in your whatever these are? Which was so sweet, because I would have been maybe 8 and he would have been 13. He's a good big brother.
Yeah. And was there gelatin in them? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
No. Sarah, did you know that tapioca flour comes from the root of the cassava plant? Have you heard of the cassava plant?
No.
It has been ground down into a powder and flour, and often used and it's often used in gluten-free baking. It is an awesome alternative, so check it out and consider changing it out for regular flour if you're looking to bake gluten-free.
Is regular flour vegan?
Yes.
Okay.
The only sugar usually isn't vegan.
It usually isn't.
No, because it's usually, I forget exactly what the process is, but I think it's like ground or sieved through like a certain animal product.
Oh, I feel like that eliminates a lot for you.
Yeah, but that one's really hard. Like, it's really hard to know what it's done. Like, that's the thing with like alcohol too, is like the process is really hard to know exactly what it is.
Okay.
And there's stuff, I mean, like this is growing every year, but there's like websites and there's like apps and stuff that are teaching us more and more about what's vegan and what's not by contacting companies. But right now it's still kind of like blurry once in a while.
Okay.
Thank you, Tapioca Flour, for sponsoring today's podcast. All right, Sarah, we have a vegan food
I'm so excited.
we're going to eat. I bought it today. It is called Crunchy Sunflower Seed Bites by this company called Somersaults, right?
Yes. Yeah, like the circus trick.
Yeah, I've never heard of them, but it's certified vegan, which was cool. And they're sea salt flavored, and they're a savory baked snack. They're also nut free. Sunflower seeds, if you didn't know, I had this on the podcast a couple weeks ago. They have a ton of protein in them. They're also really good for you. So these sunflower seed bites, 14 pieces. Wow, that's a lot of pieces of sunflower bites. This has 15% of your iron for the day and 25% of your vitamin E for the day.
Do you have to eat 15 of them to get that much?
Yeah.
I feel like there's not even 15 in that package.
No, I think there's more than 15 in this package. There's probably like, they're small. They're like really small.
How many grams is the serving? Oh, you're right. They're teeny tiny. I thought they were much bigger.
No, they're
okay. There's more than 50.
It's 170 grams, and you need to eat 40.
Okay.
To have a serving. So I don't know if you want to. I was gonna say you smell it, but you're already tasting it.
I already smelled it. I put it in my mouth.
Oh.
Wait, I want you to guess what you think it's gonna. Sorry, if you want to keep doing your thing, but I want you to guess what you think it's gonna taste like.
I think it's gonna taste like wheat and salt, because the primary ingredients are sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, sea salt, and wheat. But they do have lots of fiber in them. Fiber is really good for you, and a decent amount of calories, which, I mean, calories are good for you too. I'm going to smell them. Let's see what they smell like. Ooh.
Should I chew into the mic for the experience?
They smell like seeds. They smell like sunflower seeds.
That's what, yeah. Spoiler, they taste like sunflower seeds too.
You know what? They're pretty good, though.
Yeah.
You know what they're like?
They reminded me of a pretzel instantly.
They do remind me of a pretzel. They also remind me of, like, I don't know if you ever used to do this, but, like, I would buy, like, seeds and, like, break them open and eat the seeds. This is, like, an easier version of that.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to, like, break them open.
Yeah, and then it's always embarrassing, like, what do you do with the seeds?
Yeah, you have to, like, spit them out or, like, throw them somewhere.
I was in a Turkish bath, and I didn't speak the language, and this woman didn't speak English, and she gave me some sunflower seeds. It was a real big bonding moment, but then, like, in front of her, like, trying to say thank you, I'm, like, pulling seeds out of my mouth. If she had these, it would have been a much more enjoyable experience.
They are, like, I agree with what they say on the front, which is savory baked snack. They are really savory. And, like, I want to eat more of them also.
I wish they had toyed with, like, a sweet and savory I'm a sucker for.
They might have had one in the store, but these ones were on sale. So I was a sucker for that. They go bad in a couple weeks, and I'm like, 50% off. I'll do it.
If you eat 14 of them, it's got some of your iron.
13 now. I already had 2. But they're pretty good. So, yeah, I think I recommend these. Do you recommend them?
I think they're pretty good for, like, healthy snacks. Like, they're very clearly, like...
They're definitely a healthy snack.
They're a healthy snack.
To be fair, they are a little pricey. Like, I think they were $7.
Oh, boy.
Without the 50% off discount. So they're, like, a little bit expensive. I don't know. They're you know what they would go great with? Some beer.
Yeah, this would be, like, ideal in a bar when they want you to buy more beer, so they feed you the salty food.
This is a perfect snack for beer. bars. Take note, if you want a vegan snack.
But again, if
Get
you're looking
these.
for a vegan salty snack, I highly recommend Pringles.
Or pretzels, you can do that too. No, these are pretty good. And they're pretty healthy. Like, I mean, the fiber is good for you too. And is 8 grams of protein in them.
Yeah.
That's
It's good.
a lot of protein. For
so.
210 calories, that's a pretty good amount of protein.
That's not that's for 14 of them, right? Okay, I was like panicking. I was like, should I just eat like 800 calories worth of sea salt bites?
Each one of them is 800 calories.
Oh, God.
Are you really sad now? You're like, oh no, so many
Yeah,
calories.
that's my allotted for the day. Just kidding.
Sarah's grabbing some more, so I guess she does like them.
I'm hungry.
Did you not have dinner?
No, because I had such a big lunch. I had pad thai for lunch.
Right. I remember this. Sarah, is there anything you want to say after you finish eating your snack to the podcasters living at home? We just both put some in our mouth, and so sorry.
Yeah, I think what you're doing here is really good. I think as hard as it can be, it's important to be gentle with people. And that slow transition, I think maybe it's not for everyone, but it's something that I'm looking at doing, and I'm hoping I do well. But I also want to be nice to myself.
I think you will do well, and I mean, you have a great resource. Me.
It's true. And my mom is vegan now, so she won't send me to school with like gross watery peach tofu.
Yeah. So if you have literally any questions, I mean, you know who to reach out to. You can also send us an email, and I'll answer the question.
Oh my God!
On
Don't
the
text
podcast.
you. Send me an email at what's the
veganambitionpodcast@gmail.com.
classic. That's how I'll hit you up from now on, exclusively.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm really excited for you to go vegetarian. More and more of my friends are turning vegetarian. I have 2 friends that are vegetarian already, Daniel and Sonia, and now you're gonna be vegetarian, and that's like really exciting for me.
Heck yeah.
I have like very little vegan and vegetarian friends, so I'm trying to grow.
Is there not a huge vegan community where you're living?
In Stratford?
Yeah. I didn't know if that was secret.
No. No, I mean, it's not. I don't. It's only for the next 8 months. It's fine.
You want me to give out your address?
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks, Sarah. Please do. No, but there's just not a lot of vegans that I know like in person, or vegetarians I know in person. I mean, I've joined a new like group on campus, and that's been really nice to meet more people that are vegan. But
Well, I have a question.
yeah,
What do you think about like raw vegans? Is that like still a thing? Because I feel like
Yeah.
there was a couple girls in my high school who did that.
no, it's totally a thing.
Okay.
There's also like not only is there like gluten-free vegans, and there's also like sugar-free vegans, and sugar-free and gluten-free vegans, and sugar-free and gluten-free and raw vegans. There's a
This is a
whole
lot.
world of this. How do I put this? I don't think raw vegan is for everyone, and I think it's very hard. I also think you should ease into it just as you do with regular veganism, because when you're already vegan, and I don't think it's like sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable forever, but maybe I'll have someone on the podcast who is raw, and we'll see. But right now, it's very difficult to be raw.
So that's not like your end goal as like a raw vegan.
No, it's not. That's not my end goal, because I don't see the benefits to it. I kind of see the benefits to going oil-free vegan, but I already feel really healthy. I already have lots of energy. I already, I'm really good in a lot of those ways, so I don't really see the point for me personally.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because isn't the whole thing, it's like you're just supposed to get more nutrients, because when you cook it, they like lose nutrients. That's the idea behind it.
That is the idea behind it, but the thing with veganism is, as long as you basically eat enough calories and you have a varied diet, you're fine. You basically get enough nutrients. Like I was saying earlier, that you don't have to take supplements. There are lots of vegans who don't. I only do it once in a while. I do it because I don't think my diet supports a perfect diet that it's supposed to have. But for people who like really have a varied diet, who like are really conscious of what they're eating, and who are not raw or raw, then they'll hopefully be getting enough stuff. So generally as long as you eat enough calories, you get enough protein. Generally, as long as you eat enough calories, you get enough of everything you need. Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Yeah. Ooh, I think this is the first podcast to hit 1 hour.
Wow.
Yeah. Look at you. You
So
asked
much
some good
to
questions, though.
Yeah, I just want to learn. I have another question.
Okay.
How many apples is too many apples to eat in a day? I really don't feel like cooking.
I mean, every single apple you eat gives you a day away from the doctor, so that's good. Also, what I like to do is, I know you can't do this in your room, but I like to do dried apples. And I have like a...
Not feasible in my dorm room.
No, it's not. But like, if you need to come over, you can use my air dryer.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
And I have it dries the fruit, and it takes like 12 hours or something. And I have
dried bananas are wait. Is that like a dehydrator?
Yeah, it's a dehydrator.
Yo,
I have a
dehydrated
dehydrator.
Strawberries are so good.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good. I like apples the most personally, but I've been trying new stuff, and whenever I have like food that's like gonna go bad or something, I'll do it in the dehydrator, throw it in there, and it lasts like way longer, and it's so good.
Sweet, good to know.
Dehydrated.
That was all
food is
just personal questions.
No, that's totally fine. People are learning. People are learning that I have a dehydrator.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't have my third apple today.
No, what? I think 3 apples is fine. I think what you should have is a meal, but...
an apple?
That's okay. I know you, Sarah. You don't eat a lot. All right. Brown rice has some phenomenal qualities. A serving of about 100 grams of brown rice has about 30% of your daily intake of thiamine. Thiamine? I don't know how to pronounce that word. 34% of your daily intake of niacin, 39% of your daily vitamin B6, 40% of your daily magnesium, 178% of your daily manganese, 48% of your daily phosphorus, 33% of your daily selenium, and 20% of your daily zinc. So many great numbers of nutrients. Look at that. Brown rice. You should consider changing out that white rice for some brown rice and get some great nutrients in you at your local grocery store. Thank you, Brown Rice, for sponsoring today's podcast. Before we finish the podcast, is there anything that you want to tell people? I know I kind of asked you this already, but like, is there anything else?
Oh, yeah, just be gentle. I'm trying.
Oh, I'm really happy that you're trying. And I'm really excited. I hope I'll have you on again in a year and see where you're at.
When I'm like fully employed and vegan and have a full-time job that pays well, if anyone wants to hire me, I am skilled.
And hopefully vegetarian.
Well, vegan. Yeah, if that's something I can toss in my resume.
I've been telling people I have a podcast, and it's a good differentiator, I would say, for people.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Smart. Maybe I'll start a rival podcast.
Don't you dare. All right. I'd like to thank today's sponsors, which were Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, Tapioca Flour, and Brown Rice. I'd like to thank Sarah and you, the listeners, for being here with us today. Sarah, I actually didn't ask you this at the beginning. Do you want me to share your Instagram?
Yeah, I would love that.
All right. You can find Sarah on Instagram at Durnt, DURNTT. Is that right? Or
That's the one. No, just 2.
Just 2 TTs. DURNTT. And if you have any questions, a suggestion, you want to be a sponsor, or you want to be on an episode, you can send us an email at veganambitionpodcast@gmail.com or visit our website at theveganambition.com. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Goodbye.